ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Wednesday, June 19th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to give you a chance to win tickets to see the Coldcats coming up tomorrow. The Coldcats are in action today, and we're going to have the second game. Yesterday, they got rain delayed. If you were anywhere around Huntington yesterday, we had a violent storm roll through, lots of rain, lots of thunder. So they decided to postpone yesterday's Coldcats game and decided that it would be better to play it today, part of a doubleheader. We're going to have the second game coming up. That will follow the show as soon as the first game's over. It'll follow the show right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So last time I checked, the Coldcats were tied 3-3 with the Johnson City Doughboys. So that game, again, suspended in the bottom of the second. Johnson City was leading when the game got suspended 3-0, so the Coldcats have come back and made it a game. And again, second game's coming up tonight. We'll have that for you right here on ESPN 94.1 AM 930. And of course, you can always follow Coldcats baseball action just by heading over to the Tri-State Coldcats website. And you can watch the video stream. Jason and Toy, Woody Woodrum, they have got the call of the game, both first game and second game, and that game's going on now on the stream. And it is the top of the sixth right now, and the Coldcats and the Doughboys all tied up at 3 games apiece. Last night in the Appalachian League, it was Pulaski defeating Kingsport 13-6. Bluefield defeated Burlington 4-1. Bristol got the better of Greenville 15-6. And Danville defeated Elizabethton 6-5. Now, after the start of the second game today with the Coldcats, there's more action to follow along with. Kingsport and Pulaski once again at 7. It'll be Bluefield and Burlington 7 as well. Bristol and Greenville, Danville and Elizabethton all at 7 o'clock. As it stands right now with this game pending, East Division, Bluefield still on top, 8-4, followed by Danville at 6-5. Burlington and Pulaski both at 6-6. Of course, the Coldcats are in action today, so 5-5, the bottom of the East Division. West Division, Greenville 6-5, Bristol 6-6, and then the Johnson City Doughboys also at 5-6, tied with Kingsport. So trying to get some games caught up here for the standings. Of course, if you don't know, the two teams in the East Division that finish first and second will face off against each other, and the two top teams in the West Division will face off against each other for the right to play the champion of the other side to determine the league champion. Hey, we got some hockey to get into. Last night, Edmonton beat Florida 5-3. We got a series here. All of a sudden, the greatest player of our generation, Connor McDavid. He's doing Connor McDavid things. Second straight game, the Oilers opened up scoring with a shorthanded goal, and Connor McDavid netted 4 points. And get this, no one has been able to clinch the Stanley Cup ever in Edmonton. An opposing team has never been able to go into Edmonton in a game-clinching situation and clinch the Stanley Cup. How about that? I didn't even realize that. So Edmonton has just exploded last 2 games. 13 goals over the past 2 games, most while facing elimination and the final during the league's modern era. And so they continue. They will bring, hopefully, this to a Game 7. All of a sudden, the Stanley Cup has become a little bit more interesting. Definitely more interesting than what we've seen with the NBA as of late. Also, staying with baseball for just a second, let's switch back over there. The Pittsburgh Pirates getting the victory today over the Cincinnati Reds, 1-0. Our very somber producer today, Ben Anderson, very somber today. He's wearing his Reds shirt today. He was all excited. It was a game day in the afternoon. So Benderson is very sad today as Brian Reynolds hit a go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Pirates get that 1-0 victory over the Reds. This has been a fun run as of late for the Pirates. They're right there in the wild card hunt. They might be able to make the wild card. Still a lot of ways to go before we get into who's going to actually get in. But the Pirates right now are making it interesting. And, of course, that was a game which not many times did you see offense. The game saw only 5 hits combined. It was very hot today at PNC Park with Keller. And Green also was pretty good today. Very good pitching. So if you like pitching duels, you got that today. And then the Pirates get the win. And again, our producer, Benderson, is very sad. He's got his Reds gear on. He was hoping for a Reds game that would go his way. Not the case. So he's looking at me right now, just his head down. I'm sorry. Cheer up, Benderson. Cheer up. Cleveland lost to the Mariners yesterday, 8-5. In action against the Mariners tonight, 6:40. And some other baseball news. And, of course, again, this is a stat passed to me from our crack research team. It's just one Ben Anderson. The New York Mets are now 7-0 since McDonald's character Grimace threw out the first pitch last Wednesday. We're actually tracking that because Grimace threw out the first pitch. We now have to keep track of that. I mean, you're old enough to have had a Happy Meal recently, a Grimace Happy Meal. I mean, did you know who Grimace was before you saw that? Okay, you did know. Do you know the hamburger it is? Okay, Ronald McDonald, you familiar with the clown? Okay, so you know the characters. You've had a Happy Meal recently. All right. So the Mets are now 7. We're really tracking that stat. Okay. Also, check in on our good friend Bill Cornwell, if you would, please. Check in on our good buddy. If you're a friend of his, check in. Because number 2 Kentucky season ended with a 15-4 loss to the Florida Gators. Kentucky finished the season with a 46-16 record. First trip to the College World Series for the Kentucky Wildcats. Wildcats did set a school record for most wins in a season, 46. Broke the previous record of 45 set in 2012. Wildcats even hosted a Super Regional for the first time ever. So a sad day for our good friend, our news director here at Kindred Communications, Bill Cornwell. I didn't even see Bill today. I think that's how sad he was, I think. I didn't see him. He just came in, put his head down, did his thing. Kentucky loses, and then he just left. So if you know Bill, check in on him, send him a text, see how he's doing. So today is a pretty special day. It's June 19th. It's Juneteenth, and it's a holiday which commemorates the final people who received the news that the Civil War is over, slavery is over. So it's a big day today in a lot of places, with it being June 19th. So we want to acknowledge that. Also, there's one other thing. It's only related because of the date. It's Luke Creasy from HD Media's birthday today as well. So June 19th. A couple of pretty big things going on, of course, with June 19th being a day that commemorates a lot of things. We want to acknowledge first Juneteenth, and then we want to acknowledge our good friend Luke Creasy from Herald-Dispatch, HD Media, turned 30 today, becoming an old man. He's finally joining the club, becoming an old man. So he's right now covering the Colecats game. And the Doughboys have jumped up on the Colecats 6-3. We're in the top of the 6 right now. And so the Doughboys have got the lead back over the Colecats. All right, when we continue, we want to turn our attention to our guest today. We've got David Price coming up. He's the Executive Director of the West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission. That's WVSSAC. He is a Boone County native. Took over in July of last year. And he's going to join us to talk a little bit about his year so far and some rule changes that are coming up for the high school sports season. We'll talk to David when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Get into the groove. Downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event is back. It's the Mount West 9th Street Live.
Presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beats with Marco Prosecco, and by Matua Sauvignon Blanc.
This Friday, it's the Woodlands Retirement Community Night with a ticket to ride to 9th Street Live.
It's a celebration of the Beatles featuring the New Beats.
An entire evening of music from the Fab Four on the Marshall Health OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Sit downtown Brasserie and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for Friday, August 2nd when 9th Street is Dead, featuring John Ingram's Dead Center and the music of the Grateful Dead. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. It's all on 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenue. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall Health OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity High-Speed Internet, One Way Septic and Rent-A-Can, and this locally owned and operated Kindred Communications radio station.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey, is that a faucet running?
Nope, that's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest.
It is?
Yeah, forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. The water comes straight from the forest to us. In fact...
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
How do trees clean the air?
They soak up the dirty air on their leaves, branches, and trunks, which means clean air for us.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, but the forest does more than give us clean air and water. It gives us shade for hot days, birds to listen to, and trees to climb.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know how cool the forest could be. Hey, let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
Welcome back to our Wednesday, June 19th edition. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're going to open up our text line for a few minutes, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. As we're getting set to speak with David Price in a few moments, the Executive Director of the WVSSAC. A lot of rule changes to get into. Football's changing a lot. Bonus point situation is going to be changing there. Of course, we're going to 4 classifications. 4 classifications means a different point structure. Also, there are going to be times where you're going to try to do the math and you might not know all the details just yet. So he's going to clear that up for us. that's one fun thing I think about West Virginia high school football that a lot of people love to be able to do is just do the math. If you want to teach math in high school in West Virginia schools, give them the WVSSAC formula, because everybody wants to double check and triple check that just to make sure, because that's one of the things the night before, the day before, people are already doing the math, trying to unofficially figure this out so they can see where their team is, and that's always been a fun thing. So again, some changes in the scoring for football. We'll talk to David in a few moments about that also. The game shortening rule has changed. This is a running clock rule. New rule applies from the third quarter on if a team leads by 42 or more points. And, of course, there's some changes in basketball as well. So that's coming up in the next few minutes. We'll be talking to David Price. We're efforting him now. But until then, our text line is open at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. One highlight today from Marshall softball team announcing the addition of Haley Adkins. She's a transfer from Miami, but you might know her because she's a infielder hailing from Hamlin, West Virginia. So Haley's a sophomore now, and the stats on her, what you would think, 5'8", bats left, throws right. She graduated from Lincoln County High School. She was coached by Tommy Barrett, served as a 3-time team captain there, and then during her high school career, she set records for the highest batting average, most doubles, most triples in a single season. Also played in the North-South All-Star Game her senior year. So she goes to Miami. She appeared in 7 games as a pinch hitter, had 6 at-bats, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Did play some summer ball for Team North Carolina, the Shook. And Coach Z even put a picture of her out when Coach Z was giving her coaching instructions when she was a younger Haley. So she's the second transfer to join Marshall this summer, following Paige Maynard from Penn State. Hopefully we can have Coach Z on here in the future. If not, definitely would love to talk to at least Haley and Paige if we can get them on. So we'll try to get them on here during the summer months, as we've still got a couple months to go before we get into football. And, of course, as I mentioned, we're trying to get on the program now David Price. He's the executive director of the West Virginia Secondary Schools Activities Commission. Our producer is efforting him as we speak. So until then, we'll open up the text line at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Give you an opportunity to win those Colecat tickets. Here's the deal. Usually, if you text in the program, I consider that an entry because I like to just take care of the people who are in the show, who are always participating. So at any time, if you text in the program, you might get a text back from me, and it's basically going to say, hey, can you go to the Colecats game? So don't be afraid to text in at any time. If you are a regular texter, you know the drill. You probably sometimes have been surprised by that. So we'll give you an opportunity always to be a part of the show and to win stuff now and then. Think of it as our little private club. And again, that text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So the Colecats in action right now, game 1 of the doubleheader. And the Doughboys have jumped out now. Still top of the 6th, Doughboys 10, Colecats 3. Hopefully after this first one, the second game will go the way that the Colecats want. And if you haven't gone down yet, you still have your ticket from the first game. I think what's going to happen here is the way it was explained to me, because I had someone call me earlier and I got the right answer for them. The ticket is good. If you had a ticket to yesterday's game and you're on your way there now, you want to try to catch some of the first game, your ticket's good for the first game, and that'll be good for the second game as well. So that was my understanding of that. So if you haven't made your way down yet, you're listening to the show, maybe you're heading down to the ballpark, your first game's still going on. It's 10-3 right now. We're in top of the 6th. So if you get in there, your first ticket should be able to cover you for that second game. That was my understanding today when I was talking to Colecats management about this one. Of course, you can always text in the program. We'll get you the right answer, as, of course, we're partnered just for clarity here, we at Kindred Communications partnered with Marshall University on the operations of the Coal Cats. So they've got a pitching change coming up, it looks like, for the Coal Cats. The Doughboys are leading 10-3, top of the sixth, as we now welcome to the program our guest, David Price, the Executive Director of the West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission, a Boone County boy who has been in the role since July of last year, and he just can't get enough of the job. He's ready for another year. David, thanks for joining us. And are you tired of the job already? Is it everything you thought it would be, or is it everything and more?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm not tired of the job. I'm just getting in the swing of it. But, it is everything and more. We expected a lot of challenges, but a lot of change on the horizon, as we knew when we stepped into the position. There were a lot of things that were already in motion that were changing, and things we had to respond to. So, I'm kind of used to that over the years being a school administrator, so it wasn't anything new, just a new focus.
What do you think's been the most successful thing you've done? I mean, no pressure, but year one, what are you most proud of so far?
Well, it's not what I've done. I think it's what we see our schools doing and how they're adapting to the change and moving forward, and really working hard to support our student athletes and everything they do. At the SSAC, we have a great staff. We brought Dan Comer on last summer, right after I joined, and then Wayne, Ryan, and Cindy Daniel. They're just outstanding at what they do, and just a wealth of knowledge and passion for their job.
And it's got to help that you have a background in several facets of education. I mean, not only, as an administrator, as a principal, as a teacher, as a coach, you've seen every side of this, so you have a pretty good perspective when something comes down.
Well, I have been from the substitute teacher role starting out in 1982 to the superintendency where I retired last summer. So, I have been around and been able to experience a lot of things and a lot of different roles. And so that has helped in the job without question. And I think, some of the things that we've been able to accomplish this year, obviously adapting to the high school transfer portal, that's been a big challenge, but I think we've adapted well and had to do some things on the fly. I think, when you look at our state tournaments and the seasons we had this year, I think they were all very successful. Great turnout from our communities to support their student athletes, and, the schools just did a great job as well. I think those were some of the big things that we accomplished this year. I think that, the thing that we hear a lot about is when our committees meet, I'm all ears. I want to hear what they have to say. It's been a while since I've been in that coaching role, and I know it's changed. A lot of things have changed, and the challenges have changed. And I want to hear from our coaches. I want to hear from our ADs, and, see what changes that they recommend and what's in the best interest of our student athletes. And I think we've done that this year and made some adjustments. And, I think there's more change on the horizon. As an administrator, I've always said the one thing that will never change is there will always be change.
My guest is David Price, Executive Director, WVSSAC. And, of course, I think the one big one that stands out for me is the city of Charleston will play host to the football championships for the next 3 seasons. And Wheeling's done a tremendous job, but now it's time for Charleston to step up and show that it's a worthy city of these championships. And, of course, with the championship growing, you have 4 classes now. Now more than ever, you need everyone to put their best foot forward because this is getting bigger and hopefully better as the seasons progress now.
We were looking at it, and with the 4 classes, 64 of the 114 football-playing schools will qualify for the playoffs this year. And, one of the goals when they started talking several years ago about 4 classes was trying to get more kids involved in having that experience. And I think, basketball demonstrated it was successful. And hopefully, football, volleyball, cheer, baseball, softball, the things that will be following suit will have the same success. But as you pointed out, the site for the championship has changed. It will be in Charleston this year. Wheeling has done an outstanding job, and they set the bar high. And, we think Charleston is ready for it based on everything that they were able to present, and they've been meeting and some great plans, and I think people are going to be very pleased, and the schools who advance there are going to be very pleased and excited to be there.
Were you pretty pleased the fact that you had a lot of competitive bids for this? This just wasn't a rubber stamp, okay, it's going to be Wheeling again. Nothing like that. You had lots of bids for this, and so that just shows there's a lot of interest, and the competition obviously is going to benefit you in the end because everyone's trying to, as I alluded to, put their best foot forward to make this the best possible championship they can.
Well, the competition's going to benefit the kids. And it's going to be, and you're exactly right, it'll be the best that they can put out there, and we're excited about it. The competition, Bluefield and Wheeling, and then the WV Marshall group put one together, and then Charleston. But, each one of them did a great job in their presentations, but Charleston stood out this time, and, we thought that they did a great job of presenting. We visited every site. Talked to the folks who would be hosting and directing from that site, and we thought they all did a great job and rolled out the red carpet, and they were excited. But at the same time, Charleston, we felt did the best job at this point.
Well, one of the fun things about the football playoffs always is that we can do the math. You probably hear from people all the time. They're doing the math and they're talking to you about it. And this point should go here, this point should go there. And so that's part of the rule changes that are coming up that I think maybe fans might need to get adjusted to, especially those that like to do the math. One of the changes now is teams receive a bonus point for wins. You're not even considering the class of the defeated team. Yeah, you beat a 4A team, you get 15 points. You beat a AAA team, 12 points, 9 for AA, 6 for single A. You've workshopped this a lot. What made this you feel like the best system moving forward?
Well, the Football Coaches Committee met back in February and recommended this. And I think there's like 15 coaches, athletic directors, and rules clinicians on this committee. And they felt like moving forward, it would encourage, schools to play outside of their classification. And, it was something that's been talked about the last couple of years, and they voted unanimous to present this to the board, and the board accepted it. So I think it's a good change. I think it'll make things a little more exciting, and as we move down toward the end of the season especially. I was just looking at some of the schedules this morning, actually, and I tell you what, in football, it's different because we have sectional and regional play in every other sport. If you really think about it, football's a playoff from week one. Everybody's in, and you're just trying to get in that final 16 because every week counts. And so that's kind of the way I've always seen football is it's a full season playoff.
My guest is David Price, Executive Director, WVSSAC, getting ready for his second year as the executive of the WVSSAC. And, of course, rule changes are always going to happen. Football is going to be a big one, I'm sure. Yeah, one other that maybe not everyone knows about just yet, and we hope that it doesn't have to be used. We love to see better competition, more competitive games, but the new rule is going to apply from the third quarter. If a team leads by 42 or more points, the clock is going to stop for certain things, but it's basically a modification of the running clock rule. Why do you think that we need to start from the third quarter on here? What was maybe the thought process that went into this adjustment?
Well, and again, the Football Coaches Committee, they wanted to make it mandatory at the 42-point mark there. Coaches, by agreement, they could shorten the quarters. They have always been able to do that coming out at halftime if they would agree to it. Last year, I think there were a couple of times that maybe folks didn't agree to it, so we decided we'd kind of help them out this year. I'm like you. We hope we don't see that, but in the past, every year you'll see a game or two where it's a blowout. I think we've seen more than our fair share the last year, and so we think that this is a good thing to maybe keep things in hand, and and the vote was unanimous coming out of that Football Coaches Committee. So I think there was a lot of discussion around that, and they all agreed that it needed to be.
And I appreciate that rule because, as you mentioned, there are a couple coaches. They maybe need a little help. That's a great way to put it. And so this now gives them clear guidelines. And if a game's getting out of hand, this is one way to make sure that the game can still be played and it doesn't get truly out of hand. I hope that we don't have to see this rule very often, but as you alluded to, it's happened now and then. So this is one that I'm definitely on board with as far as just laying down standards that the coaches have to agree to, and it seems like most of the coaches are on board with this as well. Any pushback from anyone on any of this stuff? That I know the coaches committee has been pretty good about it, but anybody maybe pushing back a little bit anywhere?
We haven't heard one word. We've heard everything's been positive about these adjustments and changes, and we think for the most part, everyone, they're here for kids and to make sure that our student athletes have a great experience. And sometimes some people get that out of line a little bit. So but we haven't had any pushback at all. Matter of fact, it's been all open arms, and glad they're doing it.
Basketball is also seeing a change. No more section tournaments. It's going to be seeding regions. Teams are going to be seeded by regions, and we're going to have an extended region tournament, and this is going to apply to all classes, boys and girls. Coaches' vote will determine the seeding, and of course the rules are in place in case of a tie for head-to-head, total number of wins. So there are rules in place if they need a little help. What's the thought process here? Why is this the correct move now?
Well, the basketball coaches committee has been pushing for this for several years, and with especially with the expansion to 4 classes, and it really made some of the sectional play really small. But at the end of the day, it's the same teams in the region. It just seeds the entire region, and they also didn't like the fact that maybe some team would lose and have to take one loss into the state tournament. This way, the way it'll be set up, no team will have a loss going into the state tournament. And the only call, well, let me rephrase that. I had 15 calls the night this was announced, and text messages. And only one call said, why were we thinking about that? They didn't know if it was a good move or not. And the reason they said it was coaches shouldn't be seeding the tournament. Well, coaches have been seeding the tournament for a long time. And so that's nothing new. And but the calls that I got were from the baseball coaches. They said, hey, do you think we can think about this as well? And so there's conversation around baseball moving towards the same thing. And so we'll see where that goes. But, we think the basketball tournament, it actually allows for a longer period of time to play the region. I think it helps making sure that both the best teams get there, but they're all still coming out of the regional concept. I think that, the one thing that the SSAC has always been is making sure that there's regional representation at the state tournament. And I think this ensures that.
And that loss also always stuck with a few people. I mean, it wasn't really that big of a deal. You want to try to get the best teams you possibly can, but that one loss always seemed to stick with a few fans. Maybe it was a vocal minority.
I think you're right. But we think it's a great time if you want to make that change, it's a great time to make it right now. And, like I said, the basketball coaches committee, they came with several recommendations for it, but it all led to the same thing of regional play, a regional format, and eliminating sectional play. So, and this is the one that they decided on.
Our guest is David Price, Executive Director, WVSSAC. So, year 2, what's on the horizon for you? What would you like to see move forward as you continue on with the job?
Well, we're still navigating some of the change that occurs this year. We need to let the dust settle and let everything start to play out a little bit. But, a couple of things that we're really focused on this upcoming year. Number one will be the recruitment and retention of officials. The average age of officials in West Virginia in all sports, 58 years old. We have over 2,000 officials in all of our sports, and we have a shortage as well, and in certain areas, in certain sports. So we're trying to maintain and recruit, and working with our colleges and universities and even our high schools, trying to get a younger group interested so that we can start training them with some of our veteran officials and get a lot of experience going there. It's a great time to transition that. And, our other focus is definitely on sportsmanship, and I think it's a nationwide thing. Being in our meetings with the National Federation of High School Sports, there's a lot of concern out there about, and I'll just be blunt, about fan behavior. It's not the athletes. There's a lot of concern about fan behavior, and we want to make sure that when our fans visit our schools, They're there to support our athletes, not there to ridicule coaches, athletes, and officials. And sometimes they get a little emotional about it. And, we want to make sure that they're always there and demonstrating character and the expectations that we have, because, this is an extension of the classroom and the school. And there are some guidelines that we want to make sure people follow. But, our focus is going to be a lot on sportsmanship this year.
What's an easy fix to this? Because for some communities, right or wrong, the image of self-worth sometimes is how successful the high school team is or how successful the athletes are, and they can't separate the fact that these kids are out there working hard. It doesn't matter at the end of the day what the score is. Those kids are out there for the entire experience. Wins and losses are nice, but nobody's looking less upon anybody because you lose a game, but the fans seem to project sometimes. So how do you try to start to bring that back a little bit and just realize that you and we have a great job. We get to talk about sports. We get to work in sports. This is supposed to be the fun part of life, right?
You're exactly right. And again, like I said, people get very emotional about high school athletics in the state of West Virginia. Let's face it. It's important to our communities. It's a way that our communities are able to rally around their high schools and stay engaged and involved. But at the same time, like you said, just like right now, our kids are out there in this heat with their flex days, camps, everything, preparing for upcoming seasons, and they're working hard. But unfortunately, the first night of football on Friday nights this year, 50% of the teams are going to have one L in there, and 50% are going to have a W. So, all that work, it will pay off. But at the same time, it is competition. And the fact is we need to keep things in perspective. And like I said, fans and parents can sometimes get emotional. And that we want them to be very supportive. We want them to be there. We want it to be energetic, high energy ball games, but keeping it all in perspective. And your question about how do you fix that? Well, if I knew, I would have already fixed it. But we just have to keep staying on the message and making sure we're reminding people. And if they do get out of hand, the worst case scenario is they may have to be, may have to leave the ball game and maybe not be invited back. You never know. We hope that never happens, but those are things that could, and we don't want that to happen, obviously.
David Price is with us, Executive Director of the WVSSAC. A lot of changes happening, and of course, you've done a fantastic job so far. So I'm grateful that you're able to spend a little bit of time with us. I'm kind of curious before we let you go. In your role, have you had the ability or opportunity yet to travel to every school in the state? You got a lot of ground to cover. What's that like for you trying to get with everybody, see everybody, talk to everybody, and still make sure that you're hitting all corners of the state?
Well, we go early in the year. We do we travel the state in August, have our regional principals meetings. We meet with our officials. We meet with all of our coaches. Starting the year out in August, we'll hit all corners of the state, do that. And then during the season, we'll have our winter sports clinics, and then we have our spring sports clinics and do the same thing. So we're all over the state all the time. And then obviously we're trying to get the ball games on football season on Friday nights and other events that take place with cross country and everything else that happens in the fall, soccer, and then basketball and wrestling in the winter. So we're trying to get out to as many of those events as we can. There's 4 of us, and we kind of split up and head in different directions. But we're all over the place. And as far as being able to visit all 124 of them, haven't been able to do that yet. But there's still time.
David Price is with us, Executive Director, WVSSAC. David, good talking with us. Hopefully we get you down Huntington soon, and I look forward to having you back on here in the near future.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a great evening. Appreciate you.
Thanks, David. That's David Price, Executive Director, WVSSAC. Some interesting changes coming up. And, of course, the football season is going to be interesting, to say the least, with the 4 classifications. Quick timeout. We come back. Let's update you on what's happening with the Tri-State Coldcats. We'll do that when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Marshall Orthopedics, the Tri-State's leader for orthopedic care. MarshallHealth.org/orthopedics. Mount West Community and Technical College. Go far, close to home with Mount West Community and Technical College in Huntington. Online at mctc.edu. Lulu's, the Tri-State's premier smoke shop.
Buddy's All-American Barbecue is now in Milton. Enjoy all your favorite Buddy's classics like pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more on East Main Street in Milton. Buddy's All-American Barbecue, the home of great barbecue, ice-cold beer, and killer wings in Huntington and now in Milton.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We've got an update from Jack Cook Field. The Doughboys have taken the lead 12-3 over your Tri-State Coldcats. Game 2 is coming up tonight following this one. We'll have that one for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Hey, it happens. It happens. It will be fine. The Coldcats will bounce back, hopefully, quite nicely. It will be fine. We went a little long with our guest, and that's okay. David Price was fantastic. Hope to have him back on here in the near future as we try to keep up with everything what's going on with the WVSSAC. He talked about officials are needed, and so we plan on having someone on here in the next week or so to talk about the recruitment efforts that are going on to bring officials into the fold. And not just WVSSAC, but for youth sports all across the state, there's a need for officials. So we hope to have a couple of people on here to tell you how you can be a part of that and how you can get involved. We'll do that here coming up next week. We're working on a few things for next week, but we still got plenty of week left. But we do need to take one time out before we wrap this one up. So we'll do that, and we'll come back, and we will hopefully find out if the Coldcats can put a couple of runs on the board when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Giovanni's Pizza. Fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Give your home a beautiful makeover with flooring options from Menards. Update your room with flooring from Tarkett. From easy-to-install sheet vinyl, waterproof vinyl plank, to durable laminate flooring, Tarkett has the perfect style for you. Grovewood laminate flooring is stain, scratch, and dent resistant and designed with busy families in mind. Save big money on our wide variety of flooring options in-store or on Menards.com for more great deals now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Get into the groove. Downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event is back. It's the Mount West 9th Street Live.
Presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beats, and Marca Prosecco, and by Matua Sauvignon Blanc.
This Friday, it's the Woodlands Retirement Community Night with a ticket to ride to 9th Street Live.
It's a celebration of the Beatles featuring the New Beats.
An entire evening of music from the Fab Four on the Marshall Health OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Sit downtown Brasserie and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for Friday, August 2nd when 9th Street is Dead, featuring John Ingram's Dead Center and the music of the Grateful Dead. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. It's all on 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenue. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall Health OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity High-Speed Internet, One Way Septic and Rent-A-Can, and this locally owned and operated Kindred Communications radio station.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Final segment, today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Let's check back in at Jack Cook Field. It's still 12-3. Coldcats are losing. We're in the bottom of the 7th. Don't forget the second game. Hopefully the Coldcats resurgence will come back and win that second one. Tonight, following this one and the show right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Ben Anderson, our producer. You have fun today, Ben, as we've been trying to cheer Benderson up all afternoon. The Pirates got the win over the Reds earlier today. Benderson wears his Reds shirt. I told him that was a violation of the company handbook. He didn't listen to me at all. Comes sporting the Reds. Look, you can be a Reds fan. You just can't show it visibly around here. Pirates get the win today, and we hope that this is going to be an interesting wild card race, because right now the wild card race looks like it's heating up, and the Pirates got a little help today in the division. So Pirates are in a good spot right now to possibly get into the wild card. Still lots of baseball to be played. Speaking of baseball to be played, just again a reminder, coming up tonight, we'll have Game 2 of the Coldcats and the Doughboys. That is coming up following Game 1. Right now in the bottom of the 7th, the Doughboys with the lead over the Coldcats 12-3. And don't forget, rest of the week, all the Coldcats games, home games, right here on your home of the Tri-State Coldcats. That's ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Been pretty fun show today. Pretty fun. Thanks for everyone being here. And, of course, don't forget, we are taking your text. I'm going to hook everybody up as much as I can to get you to a Colecats game. So if you didn't text in today and you want to try to win again tomorrow, we'll open that up for you and give you an opportunity to go see the Colecats. They've got the sock puppets coming up this week, because why not? Why not name your team after a sock puppet? So here you go. All right, that's going to do it for this edition. I want to thank our show producer, Ben Anderson, or Benderson for short. For Mr. Benderson, I'm Paul Swann. This has been The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone.
Transmitting on Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.